What's your take on this? Should women and men be paid the same for what they do in sport?
No. Very, very simple. No, because the money that you get paid in sport isn't just the fees you get for playing, as you know, it's all in the sponsorship. And that is down to marketability, who's watching, how many people are watching. Take Wimbledon, that's been the big row before this latest one. Half as many people watch the women's final at Wimbledon than watch the men's final. People are free to choose, they're free to watch. It's on television at the same time, on 2 different days, both at the weekend, and people choose not to watch it. If people don't want to watch it, you're not going to get the sponsors, you're not going to get the money. Simple as that. It's just the market.
So why is that, Sue? If it's as good as the men's, why are people not glued to it in the same way?
Is it as good as the men's, Sue? Lots of people will be arguing, and I've thoroughly enjoyed watching England rugby team, watching the England women's win the Cricket World Cup. The England football team have been sensational.
England recently won the Women's Euros, so today I'm going to be challenging one of the best women's goalkeepers in the country. She plays for Manchester City and England. Let's do it. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. As I said in the trailer, I am here with one of the best female goalkeepers in the country. I'm here with Grace, who plays for Man City. How you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright, friends. Not every day people ask me how I am as well, you know. 50 shots, how many do you think I'm going to score?
Lucky if you get half.
Lucky if I get half. I'll take 25 out of 50. And I know your weak side as well, because when we were warming up, yeah, I know our weak side, so it's going to be a long day. 50 shots, let's do it.
Give me a chance, like...
You're a professional keeper. You're a pro. You've got to be saving that.
Oh, I'm knocked out.
Last shot of the video, hopefully you did enjoy. Number 50, top bins. Let's go.
So there's two questions. Is it as good, and why isn't there as much coverage, or why aren't people watching? Well, on a people watching point, over 1 million people watched the Women's Cricket World Cup final. That's nearly 3 times as many than watched the last day of the men's test match. So people do watch women's sport. There are over 100 million people. The
argument would be we have test matches quite regularly, of course.
Whereas we have test matches quite regularly.
For men's game,
yes, and we very rarely get to watch women's sport on the telly. So one of the reasons why people don't watch women's sport is it isn't there. They don't have the history of being able to watch it. And actually what we're starting to see is when they are able to watch it, they do want to see it.
Well, hang on, that's not the comparison of Wimbledon, though. There's the same coverage for the women's final as there's a men's final. There's the same opportunity to watch it, and it's been going as long, it's going most of my life that you've been able to watch a women's final just as much as a man's. So why don't as many people watch?
But that's one final on one day in one competition. I've just told you a cricket stat that's exactly the opposite stat. 100 million people watched that Cricket World Cup final across the globe. And women's sport generally simply isn't promoted as much. It's not being on.
I am going to pick her up.
With you on that front, I mean, women's sport is just coming to the fore now. I think particularly actually because the women's teams, certainly in this country, are doing so much better than the men's teams.
We all love
Go
success,
girls.
don't we?
We love success, exactly. But the reality is that, look, most sport in this country is watched by men, and most men prefer to watch men playing sport. That's the reality right now. I hope it changes, and I love the fact that your news broadcasts are leading with a women's team. It's fantastic.
So, but you look like you're ready to jump in on what you're saying.
Well, simply saying a lot of men do prefer to watch men's sport, but only because they've not really had the chance to watch the women play. And when they do get the chance to watch the women play, they'll see that it's a brilliant sport to watch, as you'll see with the football, the cricket. You know, there's an argument, well, men's sport's better because they're faster and stronger. Well, actually, in my sport, in rugby, because women can't rely just on brute strength.
Hey man, we got challenged by the little track team to run a little 4-on-1. Football players versus track team. Got my boy Thenge running second leg. I'm running first leg. TB running third leg. Odom running fourth leg. Damn. Come on! Come on! Okay! Okay! Come on! Come on! I am not running that far!
Willemse en sy boerespykerskoene kalfvoet. Ek dink nie dit gaan genoeg wees nie. Bram Willemse. Theo van Rensburg, heel agter met die blou broekie. Hy lyk of hy op pad is na 'n swembad toe. Janie Klassen is daar. Dion Oosthuizen, Eva Meyring, GP Nel. En dis Dion Oosthuizen en Janie Klassen. Janie Klassen wat baie goed hardloop, maar Dion Oosthuizen gaan afbreken met hulle. Dion Oosthuizen wat wen. Jy weet dit nou gaan derde kom. Dion Oosthuizen wat wen. En die tweede plek het ons vir Theo van Rensburg gehad. Oh, pragtige tyd. Oh, Dion Oosthuizen.
I reckon Poland have got a 5-second lead on the USA, but it's closing a little bit because Okolo's coming through. Jamaica are chasing, and Great Britain on the last leg. Martin Rooney could well be having to run down the Polish champion on the last leg to get a medal for Great Britain. USA, I would expect to overhaul Poland. Jamaica might, but can Great Britain and can Bahrain?
Martin Rooney takes it for Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Oh, I thought for a moment it was dropped. Just a check from Martin Rooney. That might have cost fractions as Bahrain come past. And Abbas finished very, very well yesterday. And the chase is on up front though, because Michael Cherry is closing in and just speeding past Justina Svertiosetic, who can't panic here. And she knew this was going to happen here. But she's chasing a medal and she's trying to hold up Javon Francis of Jamaica. Great Britain and Northern Ireland in fifth at the moment, just behind Bahrain. Bahrain with a very impressive Abbas on the anchor leg. Martin Rooney trying to close, but the Bahraini athlete is strong, and he in turn is closing on Francis, and Francis now passes Justina Svertiosetic, but Martin Rooney trying to get there. United States way out in front. They take a new world record, sub 3:10. Jamaica hold on, Bahrain in third, Martin Rooney fourth, and Poland fifth.
We have to rely on skill, and so there's more exciting running rugby. The argument, I've seen the argument made, well, men are better cricketers because Anya Shrubsole bowls at 70 miles an hour and Morna Morka bowls at 90. Well, Shane Warne bowls at about 50 miles an hour. No one's arguing he's not world class.
How fast are our spinners, though? How fast are our lady spinners? Because he's a spinner, he's not a fast-paced bowler.
I don't have the spin bowling stats. But my point is, it's the skill in his bowling that they're valuing. And similarly, if Manny Pacquiao got in the boxing ring with Frank Bruno decked him with one punch, but nobody's saying that Manny Pacquiao's not a world-class boxer.
Lewis, it's surely the exciting thing about sport, just one thing, and I promise I'll let you carry on because I don't really know anything about it. But for someone like me, who isn't an expert on football, whether the men are playing or the women, surely the skill of sport is, and the excitement is watching people go faster, better, higher, harder. You know, that's what the grip is, isn't it?
The comparison, I think, on the boxing is actually we just say we accept there are different classes in the boxing, and we don't sit and go, well, he's, you know, Amir Khan's not a fantastic boxer because he couldn't beat a heavyweight.
That's why we have pound for pound rankings, don't we?
Well, in a way, we should treat men's and women's sports in the same way. I took my 10-year-old daughter to, in fact, my husband took us to the women's FA Cup final at Wembley a little while ago. Absolutely brilliant. I'm not a football aficionado, but it was a darn good match. It was really exciting. I don't think you lose anything out from that. But I think when women say, well, some women say, you know, oh look, women's sport is just as good as men's sport. Look, the fastest human being in the world is a man. The person who's jumped the farthest, person who's jumped the highest, you know, they're all men. And I think you know, we have to accept that there is a physical difference between men and women that means that they are going to have all those records.
There's a difference, and in some ways comparing them is meaningless. Men's sport and women's sport, both equally exciting. You know, we didn't not enjoy watching Jess Ennis because she wouldn't have beaten the men's decathletes in a sprint. We loved watching that. Sport is about the stories, it's about the personalities, it's about the tight finishes like the Women's Cricket World Cup final. One of the best cricket matches in ages because it was so
an opportunity
exciting.
as well. I mean, Lewis Football Club, I was going to say before Kate rudely interrupted me. I'm too much of a gentleman to talk about. Lewis,
she's quicker than you.
Yeah, she's
Faster, stronger, harder, higher.
bigger, harder, and that's just her hair. But Lewis Football Club have become the first professional semi-pro football club to pay its women and men's teams the same amount of money. So they play in the Isthmians League, which is a few below the national leagues, but their women and the men are now being paid the same amount of money. That's an extraordinary step, isn't it? I think. I mean, you'd agree with that, Sue.
Yeah, no, but that's fine, isn't it? That's great if they want to do that. But again, it's the money in sport is commercial. It's all about how much. You know, there's certain players who can just command huge figures, not just because they're great sportsmen, because people want to watch them.
Yeah. But women have been hugely disadvantaged because they haven't had coverage. If you don't get coverage, you don't get sponsorship. If you don't get sponsorship, you don't get investment, and so on. And that's not just because people don't want to watch. In the 20s, Dick Kerr ladies were playing in front of 50,000 people, football matches. The FA banned them. I don't know why, maybe just because it was threatening, they were too successful. But the fact is, you know, even back then, people wanted to watch, but there's been so many things holding back the growth of coverage of women.